welcome back to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. I want to say thank you to all of my subscribers. Thank you for subscribing to Stylish Naija YouTube channel. If you are new to this channel, you are highly welcome. And if you have not subscribed, please, I would appreciate if you hit on the subscribe button and then also hit on the bell to get an update whenever I upload a new video. Okay, so today we're going to be doing a very quick one. So this is like a beginner's video, as in what I mean by a beginner friendly video is that even as a beginner you should be able to pull off this skirt after watching this video. It's a simple skirt and the skirt is a beautiful skirt. So I'm going to be showing you two ways of cutting a flap skirt, if I will use that word. Yes, it's actually a flap. So that's what I'm going, or you can use a lapel, but I think a flap is better. So if you check the meaning of flap, you will understand. So that's what I'm going to show you how to cut. So if you see the pictures up there, there are two different skirts. They are almost similar, but they are cut in two different ways. So that's what we're going to do. So the first one, we're going to start with the easiest one. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll do the second one. So if you want to register for Stylish Naija online classes, so you can see our number scrolling down the screen, just send me a message on WhatsApp and then I'll give you the details of all of the different classes we have. We have a padded Igbo Madam blouse class. We have a ready to wear class for people that want to go into ready to wear. We have a corset class. We have an intermediate class for people that can sew little and then they want to improve. And then we have an advanced class. We have a beginners class, and then we also have a trouser and jumpsuit class. So these are all of the classes that we have. Just send me a message and then I'll give you the details on WhatsApp. Okay, so let's get started. So for this, I'm not going to be cutting the pencil skirt, because if you notice, the base of the skirts are actually a simple pencil skirt. So I have different pencil skirts videos on the channel. For those that don't know how to cut, it's a simple process. So I'm just going to drop the link on the description box. So just check and then, so I have a skirt here already. This is a basic pencil skirt that I have. So when you want to cut this kind of skirt, I will advise you to make use of a pattern paper. So it will help you not to, because you cannot just cut your paper and your fabric and then waste it. So we're going to be making use of a pattern paper. So this is my pattern. So this pattern was actually used for this skirt. So this is my pattern. So once you have something like this, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how to cut this skirt. So I'm just going to trim it a little bit. Okay, so we have it. So the next thing we are going to do, so from the flap is actually below the waist. That's the waistband. So you are just going to take your skirt like this and then you make use of your pattern. I make use of your ruler. So I'm going to take my ruler like this. I'm just going to come into this point. I'm going to come in with about 1 inch. Why I'm doing 1 inch? So I'll be able to turn it. And then you are going to come another 2 inches after your dart. You're just going to place it like this. So I'm going to place it like that, and then I'm going to draw a diagonal line like this across my pattern just to get. So for this part, you can decide how wide you want it. So that is why the pattern is placed on the skirt. So with that, you'll be able to eyeball it to know how it will look like. So I'm just going to give it a slant like this. So you see what I have. So I'm going to cut it now, because this one actually went into the side of the skirt. That's from the top part. So this is our first. So the flap is going to sit. So it's going to sit on our skirt like this. So after cutting like this, after using my actual pattern to cut, you are going to determine how long you want this part to be. So when you are transferring to your fabric, you know that, okay, for instance, so you could see what I have here. Depends on how long you want it to be. You can decide to add as much as 5 inches or as much as 6 inches to the length of this pattern. That's when you're transferring to your fabric. And then you would, so I'm going to take out another piece of paper and then cut it for you to see. So I've placed my pattern paper. So for instance, this is my fabric now, and then I want to cut it. So I'll place my pattern like this now on my fabric, and then I will extend. So it depends on how long I want this down part to be. So I said I'm going to use 5 inches. So you can, I'm just going to add my 5 inches like this, and then I'll use my pattern, my pattern paper. Sorry, I'll use my pattern curve like this. I'll slope it into that part, and then the side, I'll slope the side like this. So if you notice from the original picture, you notice that this down part is a little bit sharp. So I'm going to cut now. So you straighten out your edges. I'm just trying to do that. And then I'm going to place this now on my fabric and see how it looks like. So this goes into this part like this. It goes into the end of the skirt, and then this comes out like this, making sure that the shape, it comes out with the shape exactly. So if you feel this part, if it is too long, you can decide to reduce it. If it is not long enough, you can decide to increase it. So at the end of the day, this is what you have. So this is now on your fabric. So you cut this out on your fabric, you sew and turn, and then you attach from the side. You attach it from the side, and then before you attach it on this top part before you fix your band. Why this part is like this one is like this. So that's the first one. So the second one, that one is a little bit complicated, but so that's the next one we're going to do. So this is very simple and easy. You can use your lining to do this if you don't want to use a pattern. You can actually use a lining. Okay, the second pattern. So you see that the first one, the first flap was actually sewn on the side. The second flap is actually sewn horizontally across the skirt. So I'm going to take my pattern paper like this. So I'm going to reduce my pattern to my skirt size. So now I have my pattern paper. So that the down part of that skirt is like a flipping triangle. So I want you to note. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this like this. So you can decide to place this on your skirt. So since I'm teaching, let me just do it that way. I can decide to place it here so I'll be able to check it properly and then see what I'm doing. So you place it like this. So for this one, it was actually sewn diagonally across it. So what you are going to do, you are going to determine how much width you actually want on top. So you're going to come to the dart part. So because it's cut across the dart lines. So my darts are already opened. So from this point, I'm going to take a mark down to this point. So I'm just going to draw a diagonal line like this. Just draw it across. So it cuts across the dart point like this. And then the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come to this part. I'm going to come to this part like this. And then I'm going to measure where I want to start, how much of this part I want to go into the skirt, because the side actually went into the skirt, unlike the first one that was just on the top part. So for this part, I'm going to come down a little bit, just above the hip, that's above the line. This is the hip line. So this is the zipper line. So I'm just going to come a little bit above the zipper line, just 1 inch, which is 5 inches from this point. So from this point, I'm going to draw another diagonal line downwards. But this time I'm going to measure how wide I want it to be. You understand? So I'm going to measure how wide I want. So on this part, I'm going to use 11 inches. I'm still going to trim. So from this point like this, I'm going to come like this and then make a straight cut. So I'm just trying to use to freehand, like draw it. So you see what I have. So I'm going to draw it like this, and then it's going to come to the hem of the skirt. But if you note that skirt, if you note this part of the skirt, that's the part that has the dropping. So this part, we're going to push this part a little bit up. So in pushing this part up, you're just going to determine how high you want it to be. So for this part, I'm just going to come. This part, we're not going to be altering anything, but this part of the skirt, we're going to alter it. So I'm just going to come with about 5 inches like this for me to have that sharp slope that came down, that fell down. So the higher you go, the more slopier it will fall. If the angle will drop. So I'm going to come like this. I will do 5 inches. So I'll mark 5 inches like this. And then from this 5 inches, I'm going to drop it like this to form that drop on the angle. So you see the drop that I have on the skirt. So this part is no more. So when you cut out this pattern, so it is this pattern that you will elongate to cut the pattern that you will place. So I hope you understand. So the whole essence of this is for us to get this slope. So if you want the slope, if you want it to slope more, I used 5 inches. You can come up by as much as even 7 inches. So once you come, the higher you go on this part, the slopier it becomes. That's the more pronounced your angle will be on this part. So I'm going to cut it out now so you see it and understand. And then we'll take it to, before we transfer to the second pattern paper. So I'm going to cut. So at the end of the day, so you see what is looking is because it's short, so that is why it is looking like this. So now we're going to transfer this on our fabric, and then we're going to increase the length of this. So it's going to be longer than our skirt. So our skirt pattern on our skirt, my skirt is 25 inches. So I'm going to make it as long as 35 inches. So I'm going to add as much as 10 inches to this pattern. So I'll get another pattern paper. And then I'm going to place it like this. I'm just trying to get a very good angle for myself. So this is my waist. So I just want you to get, this is the skirt waist, this is the waist line of our skirt to this point. So from this point, so this now we measure our 10 inches on this part. So I have my 10 inches. 10 inches is not looking so long, so I'm going to reduce it to 8 inches on this part. I'll reduce this part to 8 inches. This part came up, so this is 8 inches. So I'm going to make this part, we're going to do this part 7 inches. You reduce it with 3 inches. So this is 3 inches. So now I'm going to draw out my lines. So this part, when transferring to your fabric, make sure you open it up. So my dart went like this. So please note. So I'm going to open up a little bit because of allowance. So this is coming like this. So when I get to that 7 inches that I mark, I'm going to stop on the 7 inches mark like this. And then I'm going to slope it into the 10 inches of the extension of the other one. And then I'll look at it. If it does not flip, the slant, the triangle, if it's too small, increase it. So I'm going to do this. So at the end of the day, so I have my pattern. So you see my pattern. So I think it's okay. So if I want to go up a little bit, I can decide to come up by 1 inch. So the more you go on the side, and then you flip, just blend it into that part. So now I'm going to place it on my I'm going to cut it out now. So it depends on how wide you want the down to be. Remember, I used 10 inches for mine. So now, because I opened up a little bit, so I have about 13 inches. So it depends on how long, how wide you want. So I'm going to place it on my fabric, on my skirt, to see before I make any other alteration on the length or the width. So I'll take it like this. So you can see what we have. So what I'm going to do now, so this part I'm going to alter it a little bit. Okay, so once I place my pattern on my skirt, just to check, so I have some little adjustments to make. So that's the beauty of working with a pattern paper. The first thing, normally you're supposed to finish fixing this before you attach the waistband. So I want you to note that. So this part, I'm going to trim off this part. That's one. So use a pattern when making this flip skirt. Make use of a pattern, so that will help you to arrange everything before you cut off. So if you notice, this part is a little bit truncated. So this part is a little bit truncated. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add, just like when we're doing, when you are taking out your dart. So I'm going to add more fabric to my pattern paper, and then I'm going to blend. I'm going to take my pattern. I'm going to elongate this part more. So make sure you work with your pattern. I'm going to elongate it like this. So I hope you can see it. I'm going to elongate it to this side like this, just to make sure that it covers the whole length of my skirt. And then on this part, so I'm just going to blend it into this part. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do this. Just blend it into that part of your skirt. So I'll cut it out now and then check. If I'm still not satisfied, I will not transfer to my fabric. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and check. So I think what I have is okay. So you are going to make sure that this part goes into the side, just from here to this point. So you see the curve, and then this part blends into the hem of the right hand side, and then you have this part coming out. So from this part, what I have, the length, the difference in length that I have, that's the triangle part, is about 7 inches. So you are going to determine how long, depends on how long you want yours to be. That's what you are going to use. So, but no, basically this is just the way that you are going to go ahead and then cut out your pattern paper. Go ahead like this and cut out your pattern for you to create out that flap skirt. So at the end of the day, so you see how it is looking. So it depends on what you want, depends on how long you want the triangle on this side to be. This is like a right angle triangle. So it depends on how long you want it to be. So on this side, I have about 7 inches, 7.5 inches. And then on this side, make sure that this side blends with your side. That's this other side. Make sure it aligns with the side. So the width of your flap, you are going to determine how you want it to be. So you are going to be stitching it here on the waistline and then stitching it here. So after stitching, you stitch it like this, so it falls out. So that is why I called it a flap. So it falls out to this part. So it's only this part, this little curve part, that's from your waist to this part, that's the part that is attached. This other part is not attached. So this part is going to be, like flapping up and down. That is why I call it flapping. flapping up and down, but this side is going to be attached to the skirt. You stitch along this line and then stitch your waist, and then from this point to this point. So it depends on how big. So you can even decide not to stitch the side. Depends on what you want. Just cut your fabric, sew and turn. So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. If you find this video helpful, please hit on the like button to make me know you appreciate what I did with this video. So thank you so much. Bye. Bye bye.